Get your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.
You can set the formatting of selected chart items by first selecting the individual item within the chart area that has the appearance that you want to change. You can then choose Chart and then choose the Format Object Name from the top of the menu bar drop-down menu, or you can simply right-click on the selected chart element and then choose the Format Object Name command from the pop-up menu which appears. In the Format Object Name dialog box which appears, there are various tabs which you can use to change the appearance of the selected chart item. The specific tabs available will depend entirely on the type of object that you selected. Common tabs that are available for many objects are Font, Line, Border, Layout, and Fill. Depending on what object was selected, note that some of these tabs may appear unavailable for use. For example, if there was no text associated with the selected chart object, then there would be no Font tab available. Now on the Font tab, you can set the style of text displayed for the selected object. You can use the drop-downs on this tab to make your desired changes. You can change the font face that is used by selecting a choice from the Font drop-down. You can then add boldings or italics by clicking the B or I button as desired. You can click one of the buttons available to set the horizontal alignment of the text within the selected object. You can select either Align Left, Center, or Align Right. You can click the Color drop-down to pick a font color from the colors displayed in the color cubes in the drop-down menu. If you want to create a custom color, you may click the More button toward the bottom of this drop-down to open the Color dialog box where you can create and set a custom color. You can then use the Size drop-down to select a font size. You can use the Frame drop-down to select a style of border for the selected text. The options that you choose can be viewed within the Preview window at the bottom of this tab. Now on the Line tab, if available, you can set the color of the selected line of the chart item by using the Color drop-down. Then use the Style and Thickness drop-downs to set the desired line style and thickness for the selected line. On the Border tab, if available, you can set the color of the border of the selected chart item by using the Color drop-down. You can then use the Style and Thickness drop-downs to set the desired line style and thickness for the border. On the Layout tab, you can set the appearance of the legend and labels within the chart. Use the checkboxes and drop-downs on this tab to make your desired selections. The exact options available in this tab will depend on the type of chart that you have selected. On the Fill tab, you can set the fill or interior color for selected chart objects. You can apply a simple color choice using the color cubes that are available from the Foreground Color drop-down. However, if you would like to apply a more sophisticated appearance, you can make use of the Patterns, Gradients, Textures, and Picture buttons to apply a more interesting fill effect than just a simple color. To apply a pattern, you can click the Pattern button to open the Choose a Pattern dialog box. In this dialog box, you can select a pattern to use as the fill pattern from the choices listed at the left side. You can then set the foreground and background colors by clicking the Paint Can button next to each label, and then selecting the desired choice from the drop-down menu of color choices. The pattern that you've selected will then be displayed in the preview square. When you have the desired pattern set, click the OK button to return to the Fill tab of the Format Object Name dialog box. You can apply a gradient instead by clicking the Gradient button to open the Choose a Gradient to Apply to the Selected Areas dialog box. Here you can simply click on the type of gradient that you want to apply within the list shown, and then click the OK button to apply the selected gradient. If you wanted to create your own customized gradient, then instead click the Advanced Options button to expand the Gradient dialog box. To the right, you can create and customize your own gradients. You can begin to create a gradient by selecting a preset gradient from the list that is as similar as possible to the gradient that you would like to create. You can also use the drop-down below the Gradient Preview to select the name of a preset gradient to use. You can also click the arrow buttons to scan through the list of presets until you find the one that you want. You can change the colors used in the displayed gradient by clicking the paint can buttons shown at either end of the gradient strip and then selecting the desired color to use from the color cubes displayed. You can change the type of gradient pattern that's used by selecting either the linear, circular, or rectangular option buttons. You can then use the angle, horizontal offset, and vertical offset spinner buttons to change the direction and angle of the gradient. When you've created the desired gradient, you can then click a button to save or dismiss your changes. Click the Save button to save your changes and overwrite the old preset gradient. You can click the Save As button to invoke the Enter the Gradient Preset Name dialog box, where you can type a new name for the gradient which you've created, and then click the OK button to create and save a new preset gradient. You can rename a gradient by simply clicking the Rename button and then typing a new name into the Enter the Gradient Preset Name dialog box. You can delete a gradient by clicking the Delete button to delete the currently selected preset gradient. You can click the Duplicate button to create a duplicate copy of the currently selected gradient if desired. Once you've made any changes to your gradient, you can click the OK button to return to the Fill tab of the Format Object Name dialog box. You can apply a texture to a selected chart object by clicking the Texture button on the Fill tab of the Format Object Name dialog box. This opens the Choose a Texture to Apply to the Selected Areas dialog box. You can click on the name of the tab that contains the type of texture that you would like to use. You can then scroll through the lists of available textures on the tab and click on the one that you would like to apply. If you click the Advanced Options button, you will view the expanded dialog box where you can choose additional customization options for your texture by selecting the desired option buttons. The changes that you can select can be seen in the preview box at the right side of the dialog box. When you've selected the desired texture and set any additional options that you would like to apply, click the OK button to return to the Format Object Name dialog box. If you would like to use a picture as the fill effect for the selected chart object, you can click the Picture button in the Fill tab to open the Choose a Picture dialog box. You can select one of the pieces of clip art displayed by clicking on it to select it. If you wish to set any additional options, you can click the Advanced Options button to expand the dialog box to the right. You can click the checkbox for Pictograph Scale Picture to Grid Unit to fit one entire picture within each major grid unit of the data series within a bar chart. You can then select one of the selected display options for flipping the image from the four options shown. If you want to browse for a piece of clip art to use from your computer or network, note that you can click the Browse button to launch the open dialog box. You can then navigate to the folder that contains the clip art or .wmf file that you want to use within the report. You can click on the file to select it and then click the Open button to return to the Choose a Picture dialog box. Then click the OK button when you're ready to return to the Fill tab of the Format Object Name dialog box. After you've set any desired formatting options for the selected chart element within the Format Object Name dialog box, click the OK button to apply the selected formatting.
Like what you see? Pick up your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.